Saturn's rings are one of the most famous sights in the solar system. If you've ever looked at pictures of Saturn, you've probably seen those bright, massive rings circling the planet. But did you know that very soon those rings will disappear? Don't worry, they're not going anywhere permanently. But if you try to look at Saturn through a telescope on March 23, you might not see any rings at all. This is because of the way Saturn orbits the Sun. Every 13 to 15 years, Saturn tilts in such a way that its rings line up perfectly with Earth. Since the rings are extremely thin, only about 30 feet thick in some places, when they're turned exactly on their edge, they become nearly invisible from our point of view. It's like holding a piece of paper up sideways and trying to see it from across the room. That's why, for a short time, Saturn will look like just a plain, round planet with no rings. Right now, if you look through a telescope, you'll notice that the rings are getting thinner and thinner. By March 2025, they'll disappear completely for a little while. Then, later in the year, in November, they'll briefly vanish again. But after that, they'll start tilting back into view. And by 2032, they'll be at their widest and easiest to see again. Saturn's rings are made of billions of tiny pieces of ice and rock, all orbiting the planet like a giant cosmic highway. Some chunks are as small as grains of sand, while others are as big as a house. Scientists think these rings might be the remains of a moon or a bunch of comets and asteroids that got too close to Saturn and were torn apart by its gravity. Even though the rings disappear from our view now and then, they're still there in space. But what if I told you that one day, Saturn's rings really will be gone forever? NASA has been studying Saturn for years using spacecraft like Cassini, which orbited the planet and sent back amazing pictures and data. Scientists discovered that Saturn's gravity is slowly pulling the ring material down into the planet. This is called ring rain, and it means that the rings are disappearing little by little. At this rate, Saturn's rings could be completely gone in about 100 million years, or at most 300 million years. That might sound like a long time, but in space terms it's actually pretty fast. So while the rings will only vanish from view for a short time in March, in the far future, Saturn may end up looking like a normal gas giant without any rings at all. If humans are still around millions of years from now, they might see a very different Saturn than the one we know today.